After finding out I was the heir to a billionaire, I left my cheating wife. And now she's the one begging to come back. The instant I learned I was the heir to a fortune, I filed for divorce. She wouldn't have it. Then came the day Chloe took her male assistant to a hotel. I called her parents, feigning utter panic. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, Chloe's been kidnapped. She's at the hotel on West Phoenix Avenue. You have to come quick. The entire Thompson family rushed over, bringing a few police officers. When they burst through the door and saw Chloe flustered, with her male assistant lying naked in bed, everyone was stunned. Humiliated, Chloe exploded in a rage and slapped me hard across the face. Ethan, you just wanted to force my hand, didn't you? Fine, you win. I'd love to see what a man who married into our family can possibly do without the Thompsons. Did you really think we couldn't survive without you? I walked away with nothing but, just as I'd planned, the divorce papers. The moment I stepped out of the courthouse, I pulled out my phone, dialed a number and said quietly, "It's done. I'm divorced. Are the results from the paternity test in?" A respectful voice on the other end replied, "The results just came in today, sir. You are indeed the long-lost eldest son of the Harrison family." Stepping out of the courthouse, I breathed a long sigh of relief. All the frustration I had bottled up over the years finally vanished. I looked at the divorce papers in my hand with a wry smile, then tore them to pieces and tossed them into a nearby trash can. Chloe watched me with a dark expression, then ripped her own copy of the papers and threw the shreds in my face. She said coldly, "Ethan, I hope you're satisfied now. You deliberately set me and Leo up to force this divorce, and I gave you what you wanted. Everything you've accomplished over the years was only because you had the Thompson family's connections and resources. Without us, you're nothing. I'll be waiting for the day you come crawling back to me." Leo, standing beside her, said with false sincerity, "Ethan, you and Chloe were married for years. Don't you have even a little trust in her? Without her help, how could you possibly have become a business powerhouse in just a few short years? Don't mistake the Thompson family's support for your own talent. What happened at the hotel was a misunderstanding. I had too much to drink and Chloe was just helping me to my room. I got sick all over her. And we were just taking off our clothes to clean up when you burst in with everyone. It's not her fault things got so out of hand. The real problem is you're just too insecure." The moment he finished speaking, I swung my fist and landed it square on his face. I knew Leo was trying to get a rise out of me, and it worked. In the past, Chloe always protected him. Whenever Leo and I clashed, she would blindly take his side and force me to apologize. That only made Leo bolder and more brazen. But now that Chloe and I were divorced, I had no reason to tolerate the jerk anymore. Leo cried out, clutching his face as he stumbled to the ground. He looked like he was in pain, but his eyes were filled with mockery and triumph. He was sure that me hitting him in public would send Chloe into a fury. And just as he predicted, Chloe exploded. "Are you insane, Ethan?" she screamed at me. "How many times have I told you not to touch him? Why can't you get that through your thick skull? Apologize to him right now, or I will never forgive you." As she spoke, Chloe raised her hand to slap me. I caught her wrist and shoved her arm away. She stumbled back, nearly falling. She stared at me in disbelief, her anger growing. "Ethan, you dare to fight back?" Before she could finish, I cut her off. "Miss Thompson, I suggest you remember who you are now. You're not my wife anymore. Did you really think I'd still put up with you? For years, no matter how horribly you treated me, I always let it go. I was deeply in love with you, but that love made me weak. You never cared about what I gave, and you used my love as an excuse to walk all over my dignity. Chloe, love can't be a one-way street. Don't you understand that? When I loved you, your word was law. Now that I don't, what are you?" Chloe's face was pale with rage. As I turned to leave, she yelled, "Ethan, you stop right there. If you walk away, do you think I won't marry Leo right this second? By the time you come crawling back, it'll be too late." I didn't look back. I just waved over my shoulder and said coolly, "Then I wish you two all the best. May you live happily ever after." My debt to Chloe was paid. From this day forward, we had nothing to do with each other. After leaving the courthouse, I took a cab to the Harrison family estate. The paternity test was back. I was the Harrisons' long-lost son. As someone who grew up in an orphanage, I had always craved a family. I used to dream that my birth parents would suddenly show up one day. I never thought that dream would come true at 25. On the way to the Harrison estate, I thought back over the last few years. At 18, I was working my way through college when I met Chloe, who came from a wealthy family. It was the classic story of the rich girl falling for the poor boy. She took care of me in college, helping me out when I couldn't afford food or tuition. A lot of people called me a gold digger, but I was determined to prove to everyone that I was worthy of her. I threw myself into studying finance and management. Also, I could one day help with her family's business. The year we graduated, the Thompson family business ran into trouble. I was the one who worked tirelessly to turn their fortunes around, helping them survive the crisis and reach new heights. Several major players in the industry saw my potential and made me lucrative offers, but I turned them all down. Meanwhile, her parents went around telling everyone it was all Chloe's work, building her image as a business prodigy while completely ignoring my role. Back then I didn't care. As long as I could help Chloe, that was all that mattered. I was content to be the man behind the curtain, letting her enjoy the glory that should have been mine. But over time, Chloe started to believe her own hype. She genuinely began to think my hard work was her own achievement. Things got worse 2 years ago when she hired Leo as her assistant. Her attitude toward me began to change. Leo was a smooth talker who knew exactly how to keep her happy, and she quickly came to see him as her most trusted confidant. It's like how old kings favored scheming courtiers, masters of flattery who knew how to say exactly what the ruler wanted to hear. If Leo had lived back then, he would have been the head eunuch for some foolish king. I shook my head, trying to clear my head of Chloe and Leo. It was time to focus on meeting my real parents. The Harrison family's longtime butler had already given me a brief rundown. After my parents lost me, they adopted a boy from an orphanage and named him Ryan. Now, with me returning to the Harrison family, I wondered what kind of fireworks the clash between the true heir and the adopted son would ignite. I'd seen enough movies and read enough books about this kind of situation to be prepared for a subtle, drawn-out battle for control. When I arrived at the estate, the old butler greeted me at the door. He looked at me with an odd expression and whispered, "Mr. Ethan, your brother Ryan is having a bit of a disagreement with your parents. Perhaps you could go in and help smooth things over." I nodded. So, it seemed the adopted son wasn't happy about my return. That made sense. After all, Ryan had grown up in the lap of luxury, assuming he would one day inherit the Harrison fortune and live out his days as a carefree, spoiled heir. But now, with the true heir back in the picture, that perfect future of his was bursting like a bubble. Of course, he'd be angry and scared. I ran through the plots of all those stories I remembered, already forming several strategies to handle the situation. But the moment I stepped into the Harrison mansion and saw my parents and Ryan, I was utterly floored. My parents hugged me, tears streaming down their faces, telling me how much they'd missed me and promising to make up for all the lost years. And Ryan, the adopted son, threw his arms around me, his voice trembling with excitement. "Brother, you're finally back. This is amazing. I can finally breathe. No more being forced by mom and dad to study all that boring finance and management stuff. I've heard all about you. Top people in the industry say you have a brilliant eye for investment, and you're not afraid to take risks. With you here to take over the family business, I can finally be free to do the things I actually love." My mother just sighed with a frustrated smile while my father, furious, grabbed a feather duster and started swatting at Ryan. Ryan dodged the duster, using me as a human shield while yelling defiantly at our parents. "I like video games and traveling. I don't want to be stuck in an office managing the company. I'm a free spirit. I refuse to be a bird you keep in a gilded cage. I can make my own money and support myself. You don't have to worry about me." And now my big brother is back. He's the financial genius. He's perfect for running the company. When you two retire, he can take over everything. You can't force me to do it anymore. I just stood there watching this chaotic scene unfold, my brain struggling to comprehend it all. So much for the epic battle between the true heir and the adopted son. Where were all the schemes, the backstabbing, the intrigue? All the strategies I had prepared were utterly useless. But I had to admit, I really loved this kind of family dynamic. In the end, the argument only stopped after my father landed a few solid smacks on Ryan's backside with the feather duster. I was starting to get the picture of how things were at home. My parents weren't in the best of health and were hoping to retire early. The original plan was for Ryan and me to take over the Harrison Corporation. But Ryan had absolutely no interest in doing so. My parents were frustrated with him, but Ryan had his reasons. He had a restless spirit and didn't want to be forced into a life he hated. I never imagined this is what my return to the Harrison family would be like. It was a good thing, though. At least I wouldn't have to deal with any petty family politics. When I told my parents what had happened with Chloe, they were furious. That Chloe sounds absolutely awful. Everyone knows how much the Thompsons' company has grown over the years. They never would have gotten this far without you. Son, you were right to leave them. They'll regret it sooner or later. Ryan, however, was focused on Leo. He gave me a strange look. Bro, my fiancée Jessica has a cousin named Leo. It couldn't be the same guy who was involved with your wife, could it? I paused. Do you have a picture of him? Ryan pulled up a photo on his phone. When I saw it, my own expression soured. I nodded. That's him. What a small world. My parents narrowed their eyes at Ryan, a dangerous glint in them. Ryan quickly held up his hands. Hey Mom. Dad, don't give me that look. This has nothing to do with me. You both like Jessica. You know she's a good person. Leo is just a distant cousin. They're not close at all. We just had dinner with him once a while back. I just smiled, shrugging it off. It doesn't matter. Chloe and I are divorced. Even if Leo ends up marrying into the Thompson family, it's got nothing to do with me. My mother slammed her fist on the table. Absolutely not, she said fiercely. No one gets to bully my son like that. Ryan, your wedding to Jessica is coming up. I want you to make sure she invites that cousin of hers. Leo, I am going to put that boy in his place in front of everyone. My father snorted in agreement. And the Thompsons, we have to invite them too. Let them see with their own eyes just who the man they threw away really is. I want the entire Thompson family on their knees before this is over. I was stunned by my parents' ferocity, but at the same time, a warmth spread through my chest. Is this what it feels like to have someone in your corner? This is my family. Ryan nudged me and whispered. Mom and Dad are pretty intense, huh? I smiled and nodded. He gave a wry grin. This is exactly why I wanted to get away. Bro, you have no idea how many times I got tag-teamed by them growing up. It's a good thing you're back. Now there's someone else to draw their fire. I clapped him on the shoulder, grinning. Little brother, you're so naive. Mom and Dad are getting older. They don't have the energy for that anymore. From now on, I'll be the one to keep you in line. Don't worry. I'll make up for all those years of brotherly love you missed out on. Ryan's eyes went wide as he stared at me in disbelief. News of my divorce from Chloe eventually hit the media. The Thompson family struck first, issuing a public statement that dragged my name through the mud and hiring online trolls to destroy my reputation. People on social media who didn't know the full story ate it up. This Ethan guy is so arrogant. He thinks the Thompsons company only survived because of him and tried to seize control. He needs to remember his place. Exactly. He's just an opportunist who thinks he's some kind of savior. If it wasn't for Chloe, nobody would even know his name. I heard he tried to take half of the family's assets in the divorce. The nerve. What a shameless leech. He should just disappear. Didn't someone say that Chloe was caught in a hotel room with her male assistant, Leo, and that Ethan brought her whole family to see it? That was fake news. Chloe already clarified that Ethan set the whole thing up because he wanted half their assets in the divorce. Ugh, a man who schemes against his own wife is the lowest of the low. I paid no attention to the noise online. My parents also held back, wanting to let the online smear campaign against me grow even bigger. If the Harrisons stepped in now, it would only serve as a warning to the Thompsons. What my parents wanted was to let the Thompsons dig their own grave so they could finish them off in one decisive blow. As Ryan put it, Mom and Dad seem nice and gentle on the surface, but they're actually ruthless. They're masters at playing the long game. I've learned that from experience. You just get used to it. On the day of Ryan and Jessica's wedding, the Harrison family invited a host of business tycoons and socialites. The reception was held at the Harrison family estate. When Chloe and Leo arrived, they immediately drew the attention of many guests. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson were all smiles, making a point to cozy up to the various industry leaders. Many of the guests were whispering amongst themselves. Looks like the Thompsons have really landed a powerful connection. No wonder they were so quick to dump that business genius Ethan. I know, right? Who knew that Leo guy was the Harrisons' new daughter-in-law's cousin? Even if they're distant relatives, a little bit of favor from the Harrisons is enough to save the Thompsons decades of work. Even so, they shouldn't have set all those trolls on Ethan online. If it wasn't for Ethan, the Thompsons would have gone bankrupt years ago. Other people might not know, but those of us who've done business with them know the truth. That whole business prodigy image they built for Chloe, that was all Ethan working silently in the background. Without him, she couldn't run that company to save her life. And then to kick him out with nothing and drag his name through the mud on top of it all? The Thompsons really showed their true colors. But what can you do? They've got powerful connections now. Ethan just had bad luck running into a family of ingrates like that. Wait, is that Ethan over by the buffet table? How did he get into the Harrison estate? Who let him in? Just then, someone spotted me helping myself to the food. I was by the buffet, enjoying some dessert to refuel after a mentally draining few weeks. The Harrison Corporation was massive, and I'd spent the last few weeks doing a deep dive, working day and night to get up to speed. The long hours had left me exhausted and looking worn out. At that moment, Chloe and Leo spotted me. They froze for a second, then started walking toward me, their faces masked with arrogance and contempt. Chloe, with her arm linked through Leo's, sneered, "Ethan, how did you manage to sneak in here? Don't tell me you snuck in because you knew I'd be at Ryan Harrison's wedding. Are you here to beg for my forgiveness? Too bad for you. It's too late. Leo and I are getting married soon. You missed your chance." Leo looked at me with utter disdain. "Ethan, for old time's sake, I'm telling you to get out of here now. Today is my cousin's wedding. If the Harrisons find out you crashed their party, I promise you it won't end well for you." I gave them a brief, dismissive glance and went back to my food. My indifference clearly infuriated them. Chloe snapped, "Ethan, don't push it. Leo and I are trying to help you. You know exactly who the Harrisons are in the business world. This is Ryan Harrison's wedding, and all these powerful people are here. If the Harrisons find a disgraced person like you sneaking around, they'll do more than just break your legs. And let me be perfectly clear. There is no chance for us. Don't even think about getting back together with me." Her words made me want to roll my eyes into next week. How can someone be so full of themselves? Who said anything about getting back together? I was just trying to eat my dessert in peace. Seeing that I was still ignoring them, Leo swatted the plate of dessert out of my hand. "I'm talking to you," he said impatiently. "Are you deaf?" He then stared at me with a defiant smirk, as if daring me to do something about it. He bet wrong. Without a moment's hesitation, I slapped him squarely across the face. The sharp crack of the slap echoed through the room, and heads turned in our direction, expressions of shock on the faces of the guests. Both Chloe and Leo were stunned into silence. Then a look of venomous excitement flashed in Leo's eyes. Clutching his cheek, he snarled, "Ethan, you just signed your own death warrant. Making trouble on Harrison territory? No one can save you now." The Harrison family security guards noticed the commotion and quickly moved in to surround us. Leo, playing the victim, clutched his face and pointed at me. "This bastard crashed the party," he told the guards. "When I called him out, he assaulted me. Grab him." Before the guards could even react, Leo shot me a vicious grin. "You're finished." Chloe glared at me, her voice sharp. "Ethan, you're an absolute lunatic. To pull a stunt like this at Ryan Harrison's wedding, you're publicly disrespecting the entire Harrison family. Well, now you're not going anywhere. I can't believe I was ever blind enough to fall for you. Thank God I came to my senses and divorced you. Everyone saw it." Ethan hit Leo first. He started it. He has nothing to do with the Thompson family anymore. Chloe was publicly disowning me, trying to make sure the Thompsons wouldn't get caught in the fallout when the Harrison security inevitably threw me out. But the Harrison security guards didn't move toward me. Instead, they stood there, looking coldly at Chloe and Leo as if waiting for my command. When Leo saw that the guards weren't doing anything, he started to look visibly rattled. His face darkened as he yelled at the guards. "Didn't you see him hit me? Get this bastard out of here or I'll tell my cousin and have every single one of you fired." The guards just continued to stare at him coldly as if he were an idiot. Some of the onlookers began to notice the strange way the guards were acting toward me. They started giving me odd looks and whispering to each other. Just then, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, who had been busy networking with the business leaders, rushed over. After Chloe and Leo gave them an exaggerated version of what happened, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson flew into a rage. They glared at me and started shouting, "Ethan, you worthless orphan! Are you trying to publicly humiliate our family? Leo is about to become our son-in-law, and he's 1,000 times the man you'll ever be. If you hadn't relentlessly pursued our daughter, she never would have married a nobody like you. Don't think you're so special just because you worked at our company. You wouldn't have accomplished anything without our help. You're disgusting. The sight of you makes me sick. What is wrong with you guards? Arrest him. He just assaulted the cousin of your new lady of the house. We are invited guests of the Harrisons. If Mr. and Mrs. Harrison find out you let their guests be assaulted like this, they'll have your jobs." Mr. and Mrs. Thompson were acting so arrogantly because they were banking on Leo's connection to the bride, Jessica. But even with all their shouting, the Harrison security guards remained perfectly still. Anyone who wasn't a complete idiot could tell something was wrong. Just then Ryan and Jessica arrived. The arrival of the bride and groom immediately captured everyone's attention. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson immediately put on their most fawning smiles and rushed over to Ryan and Jessica, launching into an exaggerated tale of how I had wronged them. Chloe quickly added, "Ryan, that man Ethan, he's my ex-husband. He has a violent streak. It's why I had to divorce him. I never thought he would become a stalker and sneak into your family's estate. He's unstable. You have to get him out of here." Leo, looking deeply aggrieved, said to them, "Jessica, Ryan, you have to do something about this. That animal swelled my face. We can't just let this go, and your security. They just stood there like statues and didn't do a thing to stop him. You should fire the lot of them for being useless." Ryan nodded, a playful glint in his eye. "So," he said to Leo, "how do you want to get back at him? Tell me, and I'll make it happen." Hearing this, Leo's face lit up. He shot me a look of vicious triumph. "Break his arms and legs," he said. "Make it so he can never stand again. Let him spend the rest of his life begging on the streets." Before he could finish, someone slapped him hard across the face. The person who slapped him was Jessica. Jessica stared at him, her face like ice. "Leo," she said coldly, "you've been throwing my name around to get what you want for a while now, haven't you? We're distant cousins at best. I only acknowledged you out of respect for our family, and you repay me by causing a scene at my wedding. You really have a death wish, don't you? Everyone, from this day forward, Leo and I are no longer related in any way. I advise you all to be careful if you ever have to deal with him in the future. Don't let him fool you." Not only was Leo completely stunned, but everyone else in the room was staring in shocked silence. What is going on? Leo was the one who got hit. Why is Jessica treating him like that? Ethan, the one who threw the punch, is fine, but Leo, the victim, gets chewed out by his own cousin and publicly shamed. What is happening? The Thompsons must have been panicking. They were hoping to use Leo's connection to Jessica to get in with the Harrisons. So much for that plan. Am I seeing things, or are Ryan and Jessica looking at Ethan with respect? Leo's face was ashen. He stared blankly at Jessica's icy expression and stammered, "Jessica, you. Why?" Before he could finish, Ryan led Jessica over to my side. Jessica looked at me apologetically. "Ethan," she said carefully, "I'm so sorry. I had no idea Leo was this arrogant." I cut her off with a small smile. "It's not your fault. I'll just blame my little brother for this whole mess." Ryan's eyes widened. "Hey, what's that supposed to mean?" he said, feigning injury. I said dryly, "It means that from now on, whenever I'm in a bad mood and remember this disaster, I'm going to take it out on you. Any objections?" Ryan protested. "It was Mom and Dad who insisted on inviting Leo and the Thompsons. What's that got to do with me? If you've got a problem, take it up with them." I gave him a cold smile. "Little brother, it seems I haven't been giving you enough brotherly guidance lately. After your wedding today, we'll start your lessons tomorrow." Ryan groaned. Our brotherly banter left everyone in the room staring. their faces a mixture of confusion and disbelief. Chloe's eyes were wide with shock. She stammered. You're Ryan's brother? Leo couldn't accept it. Impossible, he blurted out. How could an orphan like you be a Harrison? You must be a fraud. You must have tricked them somehow. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson stood frozen, their bodies trembling and their faces drained of all color. Ryan narrowed his eyes at Leo and said with a smirk, So you wanted to break my brother's arms and legs? Make him beg on the streets for the rest of his life? That's a pretty twisted idea you had there. Leo's knees gave out. If he hadn't been grabbing onto Chloe's shoulder for support, he would have collapsed to the floor. Then Ryan looked over at Chloe, shaking his head with a sigh. You could have been my sister-in-law, he said. What a shame. Then again, a woman like you was never good enough for my brother anyway. Chloe's eyes welled up with tears, and she began to sob uncontrollably. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson were looking at me with pure terror, trembling as they prepared to beg for forgiveness. When my parents walked up, my father clapped me on the shoulder and announced to the crowd, This is our son Ethan, who was lost to us for many years. We only recently found him. From this day on, he will be the sole heir to the Harrison Corporation. I'm also sure you are all aware of the recent online smear campaign against my son. I won't say much more, but to everyone who spread those lies and slandered my son, every single one of you can expect to hear from our legal team. I won't be satisfied until every single one of them is bankrupt. And finally, I am announcing that as of today, the Harrison Corporation will launch a full-scale assault on the Thompson family's assets. Anyone who does business with them is an enemy of our family. The moment my father finished speaking, my mother stepped forward and slapped Mrs. Thompson hard across the face, then kicked Mr. Thompson squarely in the gut as they doubled over in pain. My mother said fiercely, Would the Thompson family even exist today if it weren't for my son? You slandered my son, calling him a gold digger while treating that snake Leo like a prize. You two aren't just blind, you're heartless. You could have been family. It's a shame you're such poor judges of character. From now on, your entire family can get ready to beg on the streets. Without waiting for a response, my mother ordered the security guards to throw them out of the estate. As Leo was being dragged out, he had already wet his pants. Chloe was a mascara-streaked, crying mess as they escorted her out. After they were gone, my mom turned to me with a smile. Feel better, son? I nodded, smiling a little wearily. Thanks, Mom, Dad. But today isn't about me. Let's get back to my brother and new sister-in-law's wedding. The wedding continued as planned, and the earlier drama was quickly forgotten like a brief interruption. But when word of what happened hit the internet, it exploded. Wow, Ethan is the heir to the Harrison fortune. The Thompson family is going to be crying all the way to the poor house. And that idiot Leo insulted Ethan to his face on his own family's property, and wanted to have his limbs broken? He's so finished. The Thompsons are finished too. The Harrisons declared war on them. I heard all their business partners are already jumping ship. But the one I feel worse for is Chloe. She could have been Mrs. Harrison. She had a winning hand, and she threw it all away. Have you seen all those influencers and media outlets that were slandering Ethan are now issuing public apologies? They sound so sincere all of a sudden. They're not sorry, they're scared. The Harrison family's legal team is legendary. They'll bankrupt anyone who slandered him. The news of Ryan's wedding was completely overshadowed. The internet could only talk about the Thompsons and Leo. After being thrown out of the Harrison estate, Leo was promptly abandoned by the Thompsons as well. He started drinking heavily, making drunken scenes in public. One night he had an accident where he broke both his arms and legs and knocked out all of his teeth. He furiously told the police that he'd been attacked and was convinced I was behind it, but there was no proof. The area of the park where he was found had no security cameras, so the case went cold. Leo was left a broken man, begging on the streets. Before long, unable to bear the scorn and mockery, he threw himself into the river. The Thompsons' company was systematically dismantled. Partners pulled out, their credit lines were cut, and their cash flow dried up. Unable to recover, they had no choice but to declare bankruptcy. I heard that on the day the company went bankrupt, the stress caused both Mr. and Mrs. Thompson to suffer strokes, leaving them hospitalized and incapacitated. None of this had anything to do with me. Since Ryan's wedding, I'd been gradually taking over the Harrison Corporation, working around the clock. I didn't have time to think about the Thompsons or Leo. One day, Ryan came to my office to tell me he and Jessica were leaving for their honeymoon. I looked at him exasperated. Mom and Dad are off traveling the world, and now you're bailing on the company too? Are you trying to work me to death? Ryan just grinned. To whom much is given, much is expected. You're the capable one, bro. Once you get married and have kids, you can train your own successor and retire early just like Mom and Dad. Speaking of which, what about all those amazing women Jessica and Mom and Dad have been trying to set you up with? Why haven't you met any of them? I sighed, pinching the bridge of my nose. I'm not interested in dating right now. It's too much trouble. Maybe later. Ryan gave me a strange look. Bro, don't tell me you're still hung up on Chloe. She didn't hurt you that badly, did she? You know what they say, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone else. Before he could finish, I pointed to the door without looking up. Get out. Ryan chuckled. All right, I'm going. But before I go, you should know Chloe's here. She's waiting outside the building. She said she's not leaving until she sees you. Before I could answer, Ryan was gone. I frowned, rising from my desk and walking over to the floor-to-ceiling window to look down at the street below. After a long moment, I sighed, left my office and went downstairs. Outside the main entrance, Chloe was waiting. She was wearing a simple cream-colored dress, looking like a fresh college graduate, and holding a bouquet of flowers. Ignoring the curious stares of passers-by, she watched me walk out of the building, a radiant smile spreading across her face. I stopped a few feet away from her, watching her with a calm expression. Her eyes were red and swollen, but she smiled. This is the dress I was wearing when you proposed, she said. It's been a few years, but it hasn't changed, has it? I didn't answer. She continued. Ethan, do you remember what you said to me when you proposed? You promised you would always be good to me. You promised you would never leave me. I was a fool. I let that snake Leo manipulate me, and I did things that hurt you. I know I was wrong now. Can you please forgive me? Let's start over. From now on, I'll do whatever you want. I'll never do anything to hurt you again. Please just give me one more chance. As she spoke, she pulled out a ring box. Inside was the engagement ring I had given her years ago. She looked at me with hopeful eyes, her voice trembling. This time it's my turn to propose. Ethan, will you marry me again? With that, she knelt down on one knee before me. I stepped to the side, avoiding her. I looked at her calmly and said, some things, once they're gone, you can't get back. Not every apology deserves forgiveness. Chloe, we're divorced. The moment you chose Leo, whatever we had was over. Stop living in the past. There was a time when I truly loved you, but that time is long gone. I don't love you anymore. From now on, there is no place for you in my life. Please don't bother me again. Tears streamed down Chloe's face. She took a step forward as if to say something more. I took a step back. Goodbye, Chloe, I said quietly. For good. Without waiting for her to reply, I turned and walked away. Chloe collapsed to the ground, her cries filled with a regret that came far too late. But this was the path she had chosen. Who else was there to blame? It was a lesson she learned far too late. Goodbye forever, Chloe.